साधनम् ओम महागणाधिपतये नमः हरि ओम हरि ओम ओम महागणाधिपतये नमः हरि ओम ओम केशवाय नमः ओम नारायणाय नमः ओम माधवाय नमः ओम गोविंदाय नमः ओम विष्णुवे नमः मत्सोदराय नमः त्रिविक्रमाय नमः वामनाय नमः श्रीधर ऋषिकेशाय नमः पद्मनाभाय नमः दामोदराय नमः संकर्षणाय नमः वासुदेवाय नमः प्रद्युम्नाय नमः अनिरुद्धाय नमः पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः दोक्षाय नमः नारसिंहाय नमः अच्युताय नमः जय नमः उपेन्द्राय नमः हरे नमः श्रीकृष्णाय नमः. Dear friends, we are starting the 14th chapter of Saptama Skanda or 7th canto, and in the Mahapurana, Bhagavata Mahapurana. In this chapter, Vedavyasa Maharshi describes the occupational duties of a householder or Gruhasthashrama, what we call, according to the time, the country, and the performers. Yudhishthira Maharaja became very much inquisitive about the occupational duties of the Gruhasthashrama. He asked Narada Muni to advise him about Grihastha's first duty is to be fully dependent on Vasudeva Krishna and try to satisfy him in all respects by executing one's prescribed devotion service. So what Narada Maharshi says, all the Grihasthas, or if a family is an ideal family, his duty is to fully dependent on Vasudeva Krishna and to try to satisfy him in all aspects by executing one's prescribed devotional service. If a Grihastha follow all the prescribed devotional service to Krishna, he will be happy. This devotional service will depend on the instructions of authorities and the association of devotees who are actually engaged in devotional service. The beginning of devotional service is Shravanam, or hearing. One must hear from the mouths of the realized souls. In this way, the Grihastha's attraction to his wife and children will gradually be reduced by concentrating on Shravana of devotional songs and devotional discourse of Lord Krishna. As for the maintenance of his family, Grihastha, while earning what he requires for his living, must be very conscientious and must not undergo extraordinary endeavor simply to accumulate money and unnecessarily increase in the material comforts. Although a Grihastha should externally be very active in earning his livelihood, he should internally be situated as a fully self-realized person without attachment for material gains. His dealings with family members or friends should be performed simply to fulfill their purpose. One should not be extravagantly engaged in this way. Instructions from family members and society should be accepted superficially. Instruction from the family members and society should be accepted superficially, but in the essence, the Grihastha should be engaged in occupational duties advised by the spiritual master and Shastra. Specifically, a Grihastha should engage in agricultural activities to earn money. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krushi Go Raksha Vanijyam, agriculture, cow protection, and trade are special duties of Grihasthas. If by chance or by the grace of Lord more money comes, it should be properly engaged for the Krishna consciousness movement. One should not be eager to earn more money simply for sensual pleasure. A Grihastha should always remember that one who is endeavoring to accumulate more money than necessary is to be considered as a thief and is punishable by the laws of nature. Grihastha should be very much affectionate towards lower animals, birds, and bees, treating them exactly like his own children. A Grihastha should not indulge in killing animals or birds for sense gratification. He should provide the necessities of life even to the dogs and the lowest creatures, and should not exploit others for sense gratification. Factually, according to the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam, every Grihastha is a great communist who provides the means of living for everyone. Whatever Grihastha may possess, he should equally distribute to all living entities without discrimination. The best process is to distribute prasada. Grihastha should not be very much attached to his wife. He should engage even his own wife in serving guests with all attention. Whatever money a Grihastha accumulates by the grace of God, he should spend in 5 activities, namely worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, receiving Vaishnavas and saintly persons, distributing prasada to the general public and to all living entities, offering prasada to his forefathers, and also offering prasada to his own self. Grihasthas should always be ready to worship everyone, as mentioned above. The Grihastha should not eat anything not offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Yajna Stitasina Santo Muchante Sarva Kilbashi. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food that is offered first for God. The Grihastha should also visit the holy places of pilgrimage mentioned in the Puranas. In this way, he should fully engage in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, for the benefit of his family, his society, his country, and humanity at large. So, the 14th chapter starts with Yudhishthira Uvacha. Grihastha etam padami vidina yena chanjasa yati deva rushe bruhi madrasho gruhamodadi. Yudhishthira is asking Narada. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired from Narada Muni, O my Lord, O my great sage, kindly explain how we who are staying at home without the knowledge of the goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instructions of the Vedas. In the previous chapters, the great sage Narada has explained how a brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi should act. In this chapter, he first explained the dealings of brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi because these are 3 ashramas or status of life are extremely important for fulfillment of the goal of life. One should note that in the brahmachari ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama, and sannyasi ashrama, there is no scope for sex life, whereas sex is allowed in grihastha life under regulations. Narada Muni therefore first described brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyasa because he wanted to stress that sex is not at all necessary. Although one who absolutely requires it is allowed to enter grihastha life or household life, which is also regulated by the Shastras and Guru. Yudhishthira Maharaja could understand all this. Therefore, as a grihastha, he presented himself as Griha Muda Dihi, one who is completely ignorant of the goal of life. Griha Muda Dihi, a person who remains a householder in family life, is certainly ignorant of life's goal. He is not very much advanced in intelligence. As soon as is possible, one should give up his so-called comfortable life at home and prepare to undergo austerity or tapasya. Tapo divyam putraka, according to the instructions given by the Rishabhadeva to his sons. We should not create a so-called comfortable situation, but must prepare to undergo austerity. This is how the human being should actually live to fulfill life's ultimate goal. Narada Muni continued, my dear king, those who stay at home as householders, grihastha, must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna, Vasudeva. How to satisfy Vasudeva in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord. The format for the Grihastha life should be a dedication to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anashrita Karma Phalam, Bhagavad Gita, in the 6th chapter, the 1st shloka, it says, Anashrita Karma Phalam, Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha, Sa Sannyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na nirgunair na chakriyaha. One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Whether one acts as a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi, he must act only for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, this should be the principle for everyone's life. Narada Muni has already described the principles of life for a brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi, and now he is describing how grihastha should live the family life. The basic principle is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead is important in Grihastha life also. The science of satisfying the Supreme Lord can be learned as described here. Saksad Upasita Mahamunin. The word Mahamunin refers to a great saintly persons or devotees. Saintly persons are generally known as munis or thoughtful philosophers concerned with the transcendental subject matters. And Mahamuni refers to those who have not only thoroughly studied the goal of life, but who are actually engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva Krishna. These persons are known as devotees. Unless one associates with devotees, one cannot learn the science of Vasudeva Panam, or dedicating one's life to Vasudeva Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In India, the principles of this science were followed strictly. Even 50 years ago, I saw that in the village of Bangalore and the suburbs of Calcutta, people engaged in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily. When all their activities ended, or at least in the evening before going to bed, everyone would hear the Bhagavata classes were held in every village. And thus people had advantage of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes everything about the aim of our life, liberation and salvation. This will be clearly explained in the next verse also. Grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana or Krishna, and his incarnation, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus one should gradually become detached from affection of his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from the dream. Krishna consciousness movement has been established to give Grihastha all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. The process, as described in many ways, is one of hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. Shravanam Swakataha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Everyone, especially the Grihasthas, who are Muda, the ignorant about the goal of life, should be given opportunity to hear about Krishna. Simply by attending lectures in different centers of the Krishna consciousness movement, where topics of the Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and they will be purified. The devotees will be purified if they follow the Bhagavatam of their sinful inclination for constant indulgence in illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, which have all become prominent in the modern days. Thus, they can be raised to the status of light, Punya Shravana Kirtana, simply by joining the Kirtana, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, one must be purified, especially if he also takes prasada after offering to Krishna. This is all going on in the Krishna conscious movement. Another specific description here is Shravanam Bhagavato Vikshnam Avataro Kathamrutam. It is not that because one has once finished Bhagavad Gita, he should not hear it again. The word Abhikshanam is very important. We should hear again and again. There is no question of stopping. Even if one has read these topics many times, we should go on reading again and again. Because Bhagavad Gita, the words spoken by Krishna and spoken by Krishna's devotees about Krishna are Amritam, nectar. The more one drinks the Amritam, the more he advances in spiritual life. The human form of life is meant for liberation, but unfortunately, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, every day the Grihasthas are working hard like asses. Early in the morning, they rise and travel then even 100 miles away to earn bread, especially in the Western countries. I have seen that people awaken at 5 o'clock to go to work, to their offices and factories. This kind of hard labor is described in the Shastra, the life of pigs and stool eaters. Nayam deho deha bhajanam naraloke kastan kaman arhate with bhujan ye. Of all living entities who are applied, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in their world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available sometime for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This is Vedic culture. One must find some time for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. This is the Vedic culture. One should work 8 hours at the most to earn to his livelihood, and either in the afternoon or in the evening, householders should associate with the devotees to hear about the incarnation of Krishna and his activities, and thus gradually liberated from the clutches of the Maya. However, instead of finding time to hear about Krishna, the householders, Grihastha, after working hard in office and factories, find time to go to a restaurant or a club where instead of hearing about Krishna and his activities, they are very much pleased to hear about the political activities of demons and non-devotees, and to enjoy sex, wine among women and meal, and this is the way waste their time. This is not a Grihastha life, but demonic life. In the dream, this is not a Grihastha life, but demonic life. The Krishna conscious movement, however, with its centers all over the world, gives such a fallen and condemned persons an opportunity to hear about Krishna. In a dream, we form Krishna society, a society of friendship and love, and when we awaken, we see that it has ceased to exist. Similarly, one's grass society, family, and love are also a dream, and this dream will be over as soon as one dies. Therefore, whether one is dreaming in a subtle way or a gross way, these dreams are all false and temporary. One's real business is to understand that one is soul, Aham Brahmasmi, and that his activities should therefore be different, then one can be happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasthanamha. One who is transcendently initiated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward all living entities. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. One who is engaged in devotional service can very easily be liberated from the dream of materialistic life. While working to earn his livelihood as much as necessary to maintain body and soul together, while working to earn his livelihood as much as necessary to maintain the body and soul together. One who is actually learned should live in human society unattached to the family affairs, although externally appearing very much attached. This is the picture of ideal family as per the Bhagavata. An intelligent man in a human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, and anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, yes, that is that's all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. The natural products created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, should be utilized to maintain the bodies and souls of all living entities. The necessities of life are of three types: those produced from the sky, from rainfall, from the earth, from the mines, and the sense of the atmosphere, that which is obtained suddenly and unexpectedly. Could be a rainfall. The necessities of life are of three types: those produced from the sky, from rainfall, from the earth, from the mines, the seas and fields, and from the atmosphere. Rain is obtained from the atmosphere, which is obtained suddenly and unexpectedly. We living entities in different forms are all children of Supreme Personality Godhead Lord Krishna, as confirmed by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita. So we are all children of God. That's what Bhagavad Gita said. One may claim proprietorship to as much wealth as required to maintain body and soul together. But one who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief, and he deserves to be punished by the laws of nature. By God's favor, we sometimes get large quantities of food grains and suddenly receive some contribution of unexpected profit in business. In this way, we may get more money than needed. So how should that be spent? There is no need to accumulate money in the bank merely to increase one's bank balance. Such a mentality is described in Bhagavad Gita as asuric or demonic. The demonic person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my scriptures, friends. So much is mine now, and it will increase in future and more and more. The asura is concerned with how much wealth he has in the bank today and how it will increase tomorrow. But unrestricted accumulation of wealth is not at all good for him. That's an asura type problem. So much is mine now. The more and more. The asura is concerned with how much wealth he has in the bank today and how it will increase tomorrow. But unrestricted accumulation of wealth is not permitted either by Shastra or in the modern age by the government. Actually, if one has more than requires for his necessities, the extra money should be spent for Krishna. According to the Vedic civilization, it should all be given to the Krishna consciousness movement as ordered by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. One should treat animals such as deer, camels, asses, monkeys, mice, snakes, birds, and fleas exactly like one's own son. How little difference there actually is between children and those eminent animals. So all the animals, all the birds, all living creatures should be treated equally like your own friends. The God's creation have been respected. One who is in Krishna consciousness understands that there is no difference between the animals and the innocent children in one's home. Even in ordinary life, it is more practical experience. And household dog or a cat is regarded on the same level as one's own children, without any envy like a children. The unintelligent animal are also sons of Supreme Person of Godhead. And therefore, Krishna consciousness person, even though a householder, should not discriminate between the children and poor animals. Unfortunately, the modern society has devised many means of killing animals in different forms of life. For example, in the agriculture fields, there may be many mice, flies, and other creatures that disturb production, and sometimes they are killed by pesticide. In this verse, however, such killing is forbidden. Every living entity should be nourished. Human society should not consider itself the only enjoyer of all the properties in the society. Rather, men should understand that all the other animals also have a claim to God's property to share. In this verse, even the snake is mentioned, indicating that a householder should not be envious even of a snake. If everyone is fully satisfied by eating food that is gift from the Lord, why should there be envy between one living being and another? In modern days, the people are very much inclined toward communistic ideas of society, but we do not think that there can be any better communistic idea than that which is explained in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even if one is householder rather than a brahmachari, a sannyasi or a vanaprastha, one should not endure very hard for religiosity, economic development and satisfaction of the senses. Even in the householder life, one should be satisfied to maintain body and soul together with whatever is available with minimum endeavor according to the place and time by the grace of God. Even in the household life, one should be satisfied to maintain body and soul together with whatever is available with a minimum endeavor according to place and time. By the grace of the Lord, one should not engage oneself in ugra karma. Ugra karma or nishiddha karma or bad karma are all same. They are not good for you. Dogs, fallen persons, and untouchables, including chandalas, dog eaters, should all be maintained with their proper necessities, which should be controlled by the householders. Even one's wife at home, with whom one is most intimately attached, should be offered for the reception of guests and people in general. One is seriously considered one's wife to be his own, that he sometimes kills himself for her, kills others. One is seriously considers one's wife to be his own, that he sometimes kills himself not for her or kills others, including even his own parents or a spiritual master or teacher. Therefore, if one can give up his attachment to such a wife, he conquers the Supreme Person of Godhead, who is never conquered by anyone. Through proper deliberations, one should give up attraction to his wife's body, because that body will ultimately be transferred into small insects, stool, or ashes. What is the value of this insignificant body? How much greater is the Supreme Being who is all pervading like the sky? An intelligent person, Gruhastha, should be satisfied with eating prasada, food offered to the Lord, or with performing the 5 different kinds of yajna, panchasuna. By such activities, one can give up attachment for the body and so-called proprietorship with reference to the body. When one is able to do this, he is firmly fixed in the position of Mahatma. Every day, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna or Lord Narayana, being who is situated in everyone's heart. And on this basis, one should separately worship with demigods. He should separately worship gods, the saintly persons, ordinary human beings, and living entities. One is forefathers and one is self. In this way, one is able to worship Supreme Being on the core of everyone's heart. When one is enriched with wealth and knowledge, which are under his full control, and by means of which he can perform yajna or please the Supreme Person of Godhead, one must perform sacrifices, offering oblations to the fire according to the directions of the Shastras. In this chapter only, Gruhastha description is given by Narada to Yudhishthira. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the enjoyer of all super sacrificial offerings. Yet, although the Lordship eats the oblations offered in the fire, my dear king, he is still more satisfied when nice food made of grains and ghee is offered to him through the mouths of qualified Brahmanas. So Lord Krishna will be happy if you feed Brahmins. That's what Krishna says. Therefore, my dear king Yudhishthira, first offer prasada unto the Brahmanas and the gods, and after sumptuously feeding Brahmanas, then you may distribute prasada to other living entities according to your ability. In this way, you will be able to worship all living entities, or in other words, supreme living entity within every living entity. A Brahmana who is sufficiently rich must offer oblations to the forefathers during the dark moon fortnight in the later part of the month of Bhadrapada Masa. Similarly, he should offer oblations to the relatives of the forefathers during the Mahalaya ceremonies in the month of Ashwini. We came to the Shloka 23rd now. Dwadashamanurada Swachra Vanastistra Uttara Trisrishte Kadashi Vaso Janmakshro Shona Yogayatu. One should perform Shraddha ceremony on the Makara Sankranti, the day when the sun begins to move north, or on the Karkataka Sankranti day when the sun begins to move southward. One should also perform this ceremony on Mesha Sankranti day and Tula Sankranti day in the yoga named Vetipata on that day, in which their 3 lunar tithis are conjoined during the eclipse of either the moon or the sun. One should perform this ceremony on the Akshaya Tritiya day, on the 9th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartika, on the 4 Ashtakas in the winter season and cool season, on the 7th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Maghamasa, during the conjunction of Magha Nakshatra and the full moon day, and on the days when the moon is completely full or not quite completely full. When these days are conjoined with the nakshatra from which the names of certain months are derived. One should also perform the Shraddha ceremony on the 12th lunar day when it is conjunction with any of the nakshatras named Anuradha, Shravana, Uttara Palguni, Uttara Ashada, or Uttara Bhadrapada. Again, one should perform this Finally, one should perform this ceremony of Shraddha on days conjoined with one's own birth star, Janma Nakshatra, or with Shravana Nakshatra. The word Ayana means the path or going. The 6 months when the sun moves towards the north is called Uttarayana. That means the sun is moving in the north. And the 6 months when it moves south are called Dakshinayana, or the southern part. These are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita also and Bhagavata also. The first day of when the sun begins to move there are mentioned, this is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also and Bhagavata also. That's what he means. All of these seasonal times are considered extremely auspicious for humanity. At such times, one should perform all auspicious activities, for by such activities, a human being attains success in his short duration of life. All of these seasonal times are considered extremely auspicious for humanity. At such times, one should perform all auspicious activity, for by such activities, a human being attains human being attains success in the very short duration of his life. During these periods of seasonal change, if one bathes in the Ganga river, in the Yamuna river, or in the sacred place, if one chants, offers fire sacrifices, he has to offer Agnikarya, sacrifices to worship the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas and forefathers, the gods and the living entities in general. Whatever he gives in charity yields permanently beneficial result. O King Yudhishthira, at the time prescribed for the reformatory ritualistic ceremonies for oneself, one's wife, or one's children, or during funeral ceremonies and animal death ceremonies, one must perform the auspicious ceremonies mentioned above in order to flourish in the fruitive activities. Narada Muni continued, now I shall describe the places where religious performances may be well be executed. Any place where a Vaishnava is available. Narada Muni continued, now I shall describe the places where religious performance may be well be executed. Any place where Vaishnava is available is an excellent place for all auspicious activities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the support of this entire cosmic manifestation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the support of this entire cosmic manifestation with all its moving and non-moving living entities. And the temple where the deity of the Lord is installed is a most sacred place. Furthermore, places where learned Brahmanas observe the I think Narada Muni is keep on explaining the Gruhastha, duties of Gruhastha in the family life. Auspicious indeed are the places where there is a temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna in which he is duly worshipped, and also the places where there flow the celebrated sacred rivers mentioned in the Puranas, the supplementary Vedic literatures. Anything spiritual done there is certainly very effective. So we say Ganga cha Yamuna cheva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sannidham Suru. These are the sacred rivers of Bharatavarsha, and Narada is telling the Grihasthas should go and take a bath in this special river whenever they can. There are many atheists who oppose the worship of deity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the temple, Lord Krishna's temple. In this verse, however, it is authoritatively stated that any place where deity is worshipped is transcendental. It does not belong to the materialistic world. It is also said that the forest is in the mode of goodness. Therefore, those who want to cultivate those who are wanted to do spiritual work, they should continue to do that either by fire sacrifice or yajna yaga in the house or temple, whichever is convenient for them. Reading Bhagavat Puran, reading Bhagavad Gita, and implementing our life according to the Gita's instruction is all good thing to do. The sacred lakes like Pushkara and places where saintly persons live like Kurukshetra, Gaya, Prayaga, Pulashrama, Naimisharanya, the banks of the Palgu River, Setubandhana, Prabhasa, Dwaraka, Varanasi, Mathura, Pampa, Bindusarovara, Badrikashrama, Narayanashrama, the places where the Nanda river flows, the places where Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita took shelter, such as Chitrakuta, and also the hill tracts of land known as Mahendra and Malaya. All of these are to be considered most pious and sacred places, and sacred lakes, and sacred rivers, sacred places. Similarly, places outside India where there are centers of the Krishna conscious movement and where Radha Krishna deities are worshipped must also can be visited and worshipped by those who want to spiritually advance. One who intends to advance in the spiritual life may visit all these places to perform ritualistic ceremonies to get results 1,000 times better than the results of the same activities performed in any other place. So I think we already got Lord Krishna's temple in every district in United Kingdom now, and also in America, every state centers have got a temples, and the Krishna temples, Balaji temples. Even in Canada and in Australia, the new Hindu temples were built by Hindus in those countries. It is very nice. When you visit holiday to Australia, visit Sydney and Balaji temple in Sydney. If you went to holiday to Canada, visit Krishna temple in Toronto. Radha Krishna temple is very nice there, and also Balaji temple is also built there now. In America, if you go on a holiday, in Los Angeles, you can see the Venkateswara Balaji temple, and he has got all the deities are installed there. Again, in Chicago, you come there, you'll have a Balaji temple there, and all the idols and Krishna is installed there. And again, in Pittsburgh, I have been to all these places, and I visited all the places of all the temple places in America and Canada. It is opportunity I had so many years ago, and I did that. This constitutes the best welfare activity for the human society for a Grahastha. This was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission as it was predicted by him in Chaitanya Bhagavata also. O King of the earth, the Narada Muni is telling Yudhishthira, O King of the earth, it has been decided by expert, learned scholars that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, in whom all that is moving or non-moving within this universe is resting, and from whom everything is coming is the best person to whom everything must be given. So whenever we perform some religious act in terms of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, we must perform it according to the time, place, and person. Kala, Desha, Patra. Narada Muni has already described the Desha is the place, Kala is the time, and the Kala has been described in verses 20 through 24, beginning with the words Ananya Vishwe Kuryad, Patipate Dina Kshaye, and the places for giving charity or performing ritualistic ceremonies have been described in verses 30 to 33, beginning with Saramsmi, Pushkaradini, Kshetrina, Arhyastrina Uta. Now, to whom everything must be given is decided in this verse. Everything has to be given to Lord Supreme Krishna. Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, he is the best patra or a person to whom everything must be given. So you surrender to Krishna and give everything to Krishna as well. O King Yudhishthira, the gods, many great sages and saints, including even the 4 sons of Lord Brahma, and I myself were present at your Rajasuya Yaga, sacrificial ceremony. But when there was a question of who should be the first person worshipped, everyone decided upon Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person. That's why Krishna is selected there. The entire universe, which is full of living entities, is like a tree whose root is the Supreme Person of Godhead, Achyuta or Krishna. Therefore, simply by worshipping Lord Krishna, one can worship all living entities, because Krishna is supporting all living entities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has created many residential places like the bodies of human beings, animals, birds, saints, and gods. In all these innumerable bodily forms, the Lord resides with the living being as Paramatma. Thus, he is known as the Paramapurusha. He is known as Purushasvatara. Paramapurusha, it should be called. O King Yudhishthira, the super soul in every body gives intelligence to the individual soul according to his capacity for understanding. Therefore, the super soul is the chief within the body. The super soul is manifested to the individual soul according to the individual's comparative development of knowledge, austerity, penance, and so on. The soul in our body is a part and parcel of the super soul of Narayana. Therefore, the Brahmana, Vaishnava, is important. And above all, super soul, the personality of Godhead, is the most important personality. My dear king, when great sages and saintly persons saw mutually disrespectful dealings at the beginning of Treta Yuga, deity worship, the temple was introduced with all paraphernalia. As it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever result one obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, one can also obtain Kali Yuga. One can also obtain in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. In Satya Yuga, every person was spiritually advanced. There was no envy between the great personalities. Gradually, however, because of the material contamination with the advance of the ages, disrespectful dealings appeared, even among Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Actually, an advanced Vaishnava is to be respected more than Vishnu. As stated in the Padma Purana, Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam Param. Of all kinds of worship of Lord Vishnu is the best. Tasmat Pranatami Devi Tadiyanam Samacharanam Samarpanam, and recommended more than worship of Vishnu is worship of Vaishnava. If you worship Vaishnava also, the worship goes to Lord Krishna. That's why worship Vaishnava Brahman also goes to Lord Krishna. Sometimes a neophyte devotee offers all the paraphernalia for worshipping the Lord, and he actually worships the Lord as the deity. But because he is envious of the authorized devotees of the Lord Vishnu, the Lord is never satisfied with his devotional service. My dear king, of all persons, a qualified Brahmana must be accepted as the best within this material world, because such a Brahmana, by practicing austerity, Vedic studies, and satisfaction, becomes the counterpart of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From the Vedas, we learn that the personality of Godhead is the Supreme Person. Every living entity is an individual person, and the Supreme Person of Godhead, Krishna, is the Supreme Person. A Brahmana who is well versed in the Vedic knowledge and fully conversant with transcendental matters becomes representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore one should worship such a Brahmana or Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is superior to Brahmana, because whereas a Brahmana knows that he is a Brahman, a Vaishnava is superior to Brahmana, because whereas Brahmana knows that he is Brahman, not a matter, a Vaishnava knows that he is not only Brahman but also an eternal servant of Supreme Brahman Lord Krishna. Therefore, worship of a Vaishnava is superior to worship of the deity in the temple, according to this Guru. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura says, Sakshad Dhartivena Samasta Shastrahi. In all the scriptures, the spiritual master, who is the best of Brahmanas, the best of Vaishnavas, is considered to be as good as Supreme Personality of Godhead. This does not mean, however, that Vaishnava thinks himself a god. For this is not right. Although Brahmana or Vaishnava is worshipped as being God, as the supreme person of Godhead, respects the Vaishnavas. Such a devotee always remains faithful servant of the Lord, Krishna, and never tries to enjoy prestige that might accrue him from being supreme representative. Vaishnavas consider they are representing Lord Krishna themselves. My dear King Yudhishthira, the Brahmanas, especially those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord throughout the entire world, are recognized and worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the heart and soul of all creation. The Brahmanas, by their preaching, sanctify the three worlds. The Brahmanas, by their preaching, sanctify the three worlds with the dust of their lotus feet, and thus they are worshipable even for Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 7th canto, 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled the Gruhasthashrama. So, in the 15th chapter, Narada is going to tell Yudhishthira how a Grihastha can attain salvation or a moksha. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of ideal family life. Instruction for civilized human beings. In the summary of the 15th chapter is as follows. In the previous chapter, Narada Muni proved the importance of Brahmana in the society. Now, in this chapter, he will show the differences between different grades of Brahmanas. Among the Brahmanas, some are householders and are mostly attached to fruitive activities of the betterment of the social conditions. Above them, however, are Brahmanas who are very much attracted by austerities and penances and who retire from family life. They are known as Vanaprasthas. Other Brahmanas are very much interested in studying the Vedas and explaining the purport of the Vedas to others. Such Brahmanas are called Brahmacharis. And still other Brahmanas are interested in different types of yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and such Brahmanas are mostly sannyasis, members of the renounced order of life. As far as householders are concerned, they engage in different types of scriptural activities, especially offering oblations to their forefathers and giving as charity to other Brahmanas. The paraphernalia engaged in such sacrifices, generally the charity is given to sannyasis, Brahmanas, and the renounced order of life. If such sannyasi is not available, the charity is given to Brahmana, householders engaged in fruitive activities. One should not make very elaborate arrangements to perform Shraddha, ceremony of offering oblations to one's forefathers. The best process for the Shraddha ceremony is to distribute Bhagavat Prasada, remnants of food that has fest we offer to Krishna, to all of one's forefathers and relatives. This makes a first-class Shraddha ceremony. In the Shraddha ceremony, there is no need to offer meat or eat meat. Unnecessary killing of animals must be stopped. Those who are in the lower grades of the society prefer to perform sacrifices by killing animals, but one who is advanced in knowledge must avoid such unnecessary violence. Brahmanas should execute their regulative duties in worshipping Lord Vishnu. Those who are advanced in knowledge of religious principles must avoid 5 kinds of irreligion known as Vidharma, Paradharma, Dharma Bhasha, and Upadharma, and Chala Dharma. One must act according to the religious principles that suit his constitutional position. It is not that everyone must adhere to the same type of religion. A general principle is that a poor man should not unnecessarily endure for economic development. One who refrains from such endeavors, but who engages in devotional service. Every householder should be very careful, because even though householder may try to conquer the senses, he becomes a victim to the association of relatives and falls down again. Thus, a grihastha must become vanaprastha or sannyasi, live in a secluded place when the age becomes senior, and be satisfied with food, whatever we get, by begging from door to door. He must chant the Omkara mantra or Hare Krishna mantra, and in this way he will perceive transcendental bliss within himself. After taking the sannyasa, however, if one returns to grihastha life, he is called vantasi, which means one who eats his own vomit. Such a person is shameless. A householder should not give up the ritualistic ceremonies, and a sannyasi should not live in a society. If a sannyasi is agitated by the senses, he is a cheater, influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. When one assumes a role in the goodness by starting philanthropic or altruistic activities, such activities become impediments on the path of devotional service to his path. The best process for advancing in devotional service is to abide by the orders of the spiritual master. For only by his direction one can conquer the senses. Unless one is completely under the Krishna consciousness, there is a chance. Unless one is completely conscious, Krishna conscious, there is a chance of falling down. Of course, in performing ritualistic ceremonies and other fruitive activities, there are also many dangers at every moment. Fruitive activities have been divided into 12 portions. Because of performing fruitive activities, which are called the path of dharma, one has to accept the cycle of birth and death. But when one takes the path of the moksha or liberation, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as Archana Marga, one can get relief from the cycle of birth and death. The Veda mantras. Vedas describe these two paths as Pitru Yajna, Deva Yajna. Those who follow the paths of Pitru Yajna and Deva Yajna are never bewildered. Even while in the material body, monastic philosopher who gradually develops control the senses understands that the objective of all the different ashramas, the statuses of life in salvation, one before. If one who is performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies becomes a devotee, even if he is a grihastha, he can receive the costless mercy of Krishna. The objective of a devotee is to return home, back to Godhead, that is Vaikuntha. Such a devotee, even though not perform ritualistic ceremonies, advances in spiritual consciousness by the supreme will of personality of Godhead. One may actually become successful in spiritual consciousness by the mercy of the devotees. Or one may fall from spiritual consciousness by being disrespectful to devotees. In this regard, Narada Muni narrated a history of how he had fallen from the Gandharva kingdom, how he was born in Shudra family, and how by serving exalted Brahmanas, he became the son of Lord Brahma and was reinstated in his transcendental position. After marrying after narrating all these stories, Narada Muni praised the mercy received from the Lord Narayana by the Pandavas. Narayana, or in the form of Krishna, he given all blessings to Yudhishthira. Narada became ecstatic in love of Krishna, and then Narada Muni left that place and returned to his own place. Thus, Shukadeva Goswami, having described various descendants of the daughters of Daksha, and the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the last chapter in the 7th canto. This is the 15th chapter. Now we are starting the details of the chapter. I just narrated a summary of the chapter in a few lines. Narada Muni continued, my dear, Karma Nishta Duja Kechit Tapo Nishta Nupapare Swadhyayena Praprachena Ye Kechit Jnana Yogayo. Narada Uvacha. Narada Muni continued, my dear king, some Brahmanas are very much attached to fruitive activities. Some are attached to austerities and penances. And still others study the Vedic literature. Whereas some, although very few, cultivate knowledge and practice different yogas, especially Bhakti Yoga. A person desiring liberation from his forefathers or himself should give charity to a Brahmana who adheres to impersonal monism. Jnana Nishtha. In the absence of such an advanced Brahmana, charity may be given to Brahmana addicted to fruitive activities, Karmakanda. There are Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. There are two processes by which to get free from material bondage. One involves in Jnana Kanda and another one is Karma Kanda. And the other involves Upasana Kanda. Vaishnavas never want to merge into the existence of the Supreme. Rather, they want to be everlastingly servants of the Lord, to render loving service unto Him. In this verse, the words Ananyantyam, Ananatyam Ichitaha refers to the persons who desire to achieve liberation from material bondage and merge into the existence of the Lord. Devotees, however, whose normal objective is to associate personally with the Lord, have no desire to accept the activities of Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda or pure devotion service, is above both Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Anyabilista Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavratam. In pure devotional service, there is not even a pinch of jnana or karma. In pure devotional service, there is no much jnana or karma. Consequently, when Vaishnavas distribute charity, they do not need to find Brahmana performing the activities of Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. The best example in this regard is provided by Advaita Goswami, who, after performing the Shraddha ceremony for his father, offered charity to Haridasa Thakura, although it was known to everyone that Haridas Thakura was born in Mohammedan family, not a Brahmana family, and was not interested in the activities of Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. Charity, therefore, should be given to the first-class transcendentalist. The devotee becomes because the Shastra recommends. Great devotee of Lord Krishna or Lord Narayana can be respected because they are Vaishnavas. Whatever caste they born, they became Vaishnavas by chanting Hare Krishna Nam. Thus, it does not matter whether a devotee comes from a Brahmana family or a non-Brahmana family. If he is fully devoted, he is fully devoted to Krishna, he is sadhu. During the period for offering oblations to the gods, one should invite only 2 Brahmanas, and while offering oblations to the forefathers, one may invite 3 Brahmanas. Or in either case, only 1 Brahman will suffice. Even though one is very opulent, he should not endeavor to invite more Brahmanas or make various expensive arrangements on those occasions. If one arranges to feed many Brahmanas or relatives during this Shraddha ceremony, there will be discrepancies in the time, place, respectability, and ingredients, the person to be worshipped, and the method of offering worship. Narada Muni has prohibited unnecessarily gorgeous arrangements to feed relatives of Brahmanas during the Shraddha ceremony. Those who are materially opulent spend lavishly during this ceremony. Indians spend especially lavishly on 3 occasions: at the birth of a child, at marriage, and while observing the Shraddha ceremony. But the Shastras prohibit the excessive expenditures involved in inviting many Brahmanas and relatives, especially during the Shraddha ceremony. When one gets the opportunity of a suitable auspicious time and place, one should with love offer food prepared with ghee to the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then offer the prasada to suitable person, Vaishnava or Brahmana. This will be the cause of everlasting prosperity. First you offer to Lord Krishna and then offer to Vaishnava or Brahmana. Then you're all right. One should offer prasada to gods, the saintly persons, one's forefather, the people in general, one's family members, one's relatives, and one's friends, seeing them all as devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. As mentioned above, it is recommended that everything distribute prasada, considering every living being part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A person fully aware of religious principles should never offer anything like meat, eggs, or fish in the Shraddha ceremony. And even if one is Kshatriya, He himself should not eat such things. When suitable food prepared with ghee is offered to saintly persons, the function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord also, who are never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice. People should not kill the animals and birds in the name of sacrifice. That's not acceptable to Lord Krishna. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, other in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, and those who are intelligent in regard to the sacrifice, yajna, who are actually aware of religious principles and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Upon seeing the person engaged in performing the yajna, yaga, or sacrifice, animals mean to be sacrificed are extremely afraid, thinking this merciless performer of sacrifices, being ignorant of the purpose of sacrifice and being more satisfied by killing others, will surely kill us himself. Animal sacrifice in the name of religion is currently practically all over the world. In every established religion, it is said that was shocked to see the Jews sacrificing birds and animals in the synagogues, and that he therefore rejected the Jewish system of religion, started the religion system of Christianity, adhering to the Old Testament commandment, thou shalt not kill. At the present day, however, not only are animals killed in the name of sacrifice, but the killing of animals has increased enormously because of the increasing number of slaughterhouses. Slaughtering animals either for religion or for the food. This is very important. Killing animals or birds are not supported in the Vedic form of religious worship. Therefore, day by day, one who is actually aware of religious principles and is not heinously envious of poor animals should happily perform daily sacrifice, and those for certain occasions with whatever food is available easily by the grace of the Lord. There are 5 branches of irreligion appropriately known as irreligion, vidharma or adharma, religious principles for which one is unfit, paradharma, pretentious religion, abhasa, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion is chaladharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious. Vidharma, paradharma, abhasha, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion, chaladharma. All these are irreligions. They should abandon these 5 as irreligious. Religious principles that abstract one from the following his own religion are called vidharma. Religious principles introduced by others are called paradharma. A new type of religion created by one who is falsely proud and who opposes the principles of the Vedas is called upadharma. And interpretation by one's jugglery of words is called chaladharma. But they're all not good. Supreme Person of Godhead not like this 5 unreligious way. They are called vidharma, paradharma, upadharma, chaladharma. Misinterpretation of Bhagavad Gita is chaladharma. When Krishna directly says something and some rascal interprets it to mean something different, this is called chaladharma. A religious system of cheating is shabda bit, a jugglery of words. One should extremely careful to avoid these various types of cheating systems of religion. A pretentious religions A pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa, a dim reflection or false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashrama and varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distress? It is indicated here that everyone should strictly follow the principles of varna and ashrama as given in the Shastra. In the Vishnu Purana, also it says the same thing. One should focus upon the destinations of a progress, which is to become Krishna consciousness. This is the aim and end of all Varnashrama Dharma. However, if Vishnu is not worshipped, the followers of Varnashrama in situation manufacture some concocted god. Thus it has now become fashionable for any rascal or fool to be elected god, and there are many missionaries who have concocted their own gods, giving up their relationship with the real God. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that one who worships the gods has lost intelligence. Nonetheless, we found that even an illiterate person who has lost all his intelligence is elected God, and although he has a temple, it has a meat-eating sannyasis, and many polluted activities go on there. This type of religious system, which misguides its poor followers, is strictly forbidden. Such pretentious religions should be stopped altogether. The original system is that Brahmana should actually become Brahmana. He should not only take birth in the Brahminical family, but must also be qualified. Also, even if one is not born in a Brahmana family, but has Brahminical qualifications, he must be considered even if a man is poor, he should not endure to improve his economic condition just to maintain his body and soul together or to become a famous religionist. Just as a great python, although living in one place, not enduring for its livelihood, gets the food what it needs to maintain body and soul, one who is desireless also obtains his livelihood without endeavor. One who is content and satisfied whatever he has got, and who links his activities with the Supreme Person of Godhead residing in everyone's heart, enjoys the transcendental happiness without enduring for his livelihood. Whereas such happiness for a materialistic man who is impelled by lust and greed, and who therefore wanders in all directions with a desire to accumulate wealth, that's not good. For a person who has suitable shoes on his feet, there is no danger even when he walks on pebbles and thorns. For him, everything is auspicious. Similarly, for one who is always self-satisfied, there is no distress. Indeed, he feels happiness everywhere. Wherever he goes, he will be happy. My dear king, self-satisfied person can be happy even with only drinking water. However, one who is driven by the senses, especially by the tongue and genitals, must accept the position of a household dog to satisfy his senses. Because of greed, for the sake of the senses, the spiritual strength, education, austerity, and reputation of a devotee or Brahmana who is not self-satisfied dwindle, and his knowledge gradually vanishes. The strong bodily desires and needs of a person disturbed by hunger and thirst are certainly satisfied when he eats enough. Similarly, if one becomes very angry, that anger is satisfied by chastisement and its reaction. But as for greed, even if a greedy person has conquered all the directions of the world or has enjoyed everything in the world, still he will be unsatisfied. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that lust, anger, and greed are the causes of conditioned soul's bondage in this material world. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavaha. When strong lusty desires for the sense gratification are unfulfilled, one becomes angry. This anger can be satisfied when one chastises his enemy, but when there is an increase in the lobha or a greediness, which is the greatest enemy caused by Rajoguna, the mode of passion, how can one advance in Krishna consciousness? If one is very greedy to enhance his Krishna consciousness, there is a great boon. Tantra Lavalam Ekalam Mulam. This is the best path available. O King Yudhishthira, many persons with varied experience, many legal advisors, many learned scholars, and many persons eligible to become presidents of learned assemblies fall down into the hellish life because of not being satisfied with their positions. By making plans with determination, one should give up lusty desires for sense gratification. Similarly, by giving up envy, one should conquer anger. By discussing the disadvantages of accumulating wealth, one should give up greed. And by discussing the truth, one should give up fear also. By discussing the spiritual knowledge, one can conquer lamentation and illusion. By serving a great devotee, one can become prideless. By keeping silent, one can avoid obstacles on the path of mystic yoga. And simply by stopping sense gratification, one can conquer envy. There are so many shlokas by up to the 80 shlokas are there. By good behavior and freedom from every envy, one should counteract the sufferings due to other living entities. By meditation in trance, one should counteract suffering due to providence, and by practicing hatha yoga, pranayama, and so forth, one should counteract sufferings due to the body and mind. Similarly, by developing the mode of goodness, especially in regard to eating, one should conquer sleep. By developing a mode of goodness, that is sattvika guna. Mode of goodness is sattvika guna. Especially in regard to eating, one should control the amount of food what he eats, and one should conquer sleep also. Too much sleeping is no good. That's why he has to sleep as much as necessary, but not more. One must conquer the modes of passion and ignorance. Modes of passion is rajoguna, modes of ignorance is tamoguna. By developing the mode of goodness, and then one must become detached from the mode of goodness by promoting oneself to the platform of Shuddha Sattva. So from Sattva Guna, he can be promoted oneself to the higher platform called Shuddha Sattva. All this can be automatically done if one engages in the service of spiritual master. As long as continuously engaged in Lord Krishna's consciousness with faith and devotion, in this way one can conquer the influence of modes of nature. So he can achieve a Sattva Guna, Shuddha Sattva Guna also he can achieve by concentrating on Lord. The spiritual master should be considered to be directly the Supreme Lord because he gives transcendental knowledge for enlightenment. Consequently, for one who maintains the material conception that the spiritual master is an ordinary human being, everything is frustrated. His enlightenment and his Vedic studies and knowledge are like the bathing of an elephant. If it doesn't make any progress to become Shuddha Sattva, his knowledge, enlightenment, and Vedic studies and knowledge are like the bathing of an elephant. Elephant, after the taking a bath in the water, it goes in the sand and put the sand on over the body. So it makes the spoil again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the master of all other living entities and of the material nature.
Right.
Hello?
good morning.
Good morning. Namaste.
Sorry.
Quite all right.
Sir, as I had a frame, was trying to frame call, and we had a discussion, and he was trying to say that we should have a trustees meeting sometime this week, okay? And we would like to officially approve these people who are, we have
Harsha and Ankur.
Harsha and Ankur.
Yeah.
And he had some more application, about 5-6 families, and we can kind of approve them as well.
Yeah.
So I said that first of all that there is no hurry to get the new applicants at the moment, in the very last moment. Okay. And what he is trying to do basically just to get us around and to get some papers signed off, and so that he can get them approved in this extraordinary general meeting. So that is, first of all, is not right thing. We should go as we are doing, as our plan is. That is, we'll have the extraordinary general meeting. We'll get our new trustees induced, and we will all renew ourselves. So that means that according to the old constitution, we all have to pay £200 each. And myself, yourself, Mr. Singh, and Prem will pay his own. And this month, if he wants to continue with the trustee, he will pay his money. And I'm not sure about Maini, whether he wants to carry on or not. But we need to pay this £200 each before our next EGM, which will be. So, what if you do not mind doing one thing? You can send, you can write a check to the temple and send the check over to.
But temple owes me £300 already, a surplus. I have to ask the king to adjust that.
£300, okay, fine. So you can write a letter to say that please
adjust
£200 out of it. Adjust £200 out of it as my
contribution.
Contribution towards renewal of my trusteeship. Okay. If you write that letter, that will be fine. I'll just collect the check from Mr. Singh. The second point is this. First of all, I think his plan of doing the meeting was not very great. He was trying to achieve some problematic purposes sorted for his own. Because he was trying to get some of us to sign off, some of the people who are from his cult, or to become the trustees and all these things, which are not right at this very moment. Because number one thing is that the temple has opened only for the purpose of individual prayers, right? And the temple is not yet open for gathering. Then Prem, yourself, Mr. Singh, as far as I know, you all are over the age of 70. And you are we all are from different households, and we should not have a physical meeting till the temple opens properly. So it is best that we wait if we wait till the temple opens up properly, and once the temple opens up properly, then we can have a proper meeting of the new trustees, including the new trustees, and then we can go through the application of everybody who wants to become the member of the trustees. At that point, we'll do it.
But what he wants to bring another 1 or 2%, let him bring. What's wrong in it? Let us finish.
No. We'll do it. We'll of course do it. Let him bring 5-6 people. I don't mind. Let him bring as many people as they want. All I'm trying to say is that he cannot do it before this EGM, this extraordinary general meeting.
I see.
He is trying to do something like he is trying to get people suddenly out of nowhere and telling us that, okay, approve him. And then getting them through straight away in this extraordinary general meeting. There's no hurry for it. There's no hurry for it.
We have to do another 4 meetings anyway, because of the constitution meeting. We have to do finalize that.
So what actually my idea was that we will do this extraordinary general meeting. We'll have our board of trustees renewed. We will have our constitution meeting. And after the constitution meeting, we will call for more trustees to join. Okay. We'll ask for more trustees to join. When the more trustees join the meeting.
All he is going to tell that it is my responsibility. I am the chairman of the trustees, and I have to call for all this. You are not about to call the meeting, or this sort of thing. He is going to talk, I think. This one, yeah. We don't want a clash, but it's, if we tell him like that, if he agrees, that's all right. We have no objection bringing any more trustees, but let us meet over. We are preparing for the EGM now. Let us finish this EGM and then.
Let us finish this EGM and then we'll get more trustees. That's not my
right,
as I say.
You can say that, but what I mean to say, he will say, oh, we have to do another EGM, another EGM like that, extra work. Why can't you do it now? That's what he's going to tell. So how can we?
But I have told him that it is a very short time, and you cannot just say that in 1 week you are going to get 5, 6 more new applicants, and you want us to approve them, and we cannot do it.
No, we won't approve that. You can say that they can submit the application. We are going through the police check and all the other checks has to be done, and all the checks has to be done. It takes some time, isn't it?
It takes time.
Yeah. So we don't have enough time to do that now. Yeah.
We will only do that once we have been through this extraordinary general meeting.
Yeah.
We cannot do it before because we cannot physically meet, number one. We cannot physically go through this application, and we cannot just do it on the basis of a Google meeting or something like that. Okay.
The scrutiny has to be done.
And the scrutiny cannot be done without actually looking into the application and without the board of trustees meeting together. So
that's right.
Go through this.
Yeah.
And secondly, we cannot meet at the moment. We cannot have any meeting at this time because over the table is not open. It is not open for.
No. He will say Google Meet. No, he will say Google Meet. I think he will meet in a Google meeting. That's what he wants. I think.
No. If he is not very happy with the Google Meet, he doesn't want to have a Google Meet.
Oh, it doesn't have to be. Oh, I see. Yeah.
He wanted to meet physically.
Oh.
And I said that is not done. At the moment, we can't have any meeting.
Yeah.
We should have it only after the.
But if he accepts Google Meet, we can do that. If he wants to do that, Google Meet.
But we can do a Google Meet, Dr. Gupta, but there is not enough time now
to approve the. That's right.
Go through this trustee thing. Why should we do that? Because we are going to do an AGM future anyway.
Yeah.
We have to do an annual general meeting anyway.
Yes, right. Yeah.
The reason of the hurry was that we wanted to get our constitution through.
Yeah, board of trustees supposed to be 6 or 7 now. What is the number we need? How many we are?
So at the moment we need to have 6 trustees, 7 trustees, and we have 6 trustees, and we will be having 6 trustees.
Okay, that's enough. So enough to constitution has to be approved. We need 6 trustees to be there, and one of the trustees in Hartlepool has moved to Newcastle now. What you are going to do?
Yeah, mainly has moved to Newcastle.
Yeah, one moved to.
So we already have 7 trustees, and we already have 5 trustees.
Yeah.
And we will have the 2 more.
Yeah, 7.
We have 7 trustees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will get we'll get the constitution through. Once the constitution is through, then we call for the new trustees application.
Yeah.
And then people like, as you say, Mr. Nagendar, Dr. Nagendar, he can become a trustee.
I don't know. I just tried to phone him, but he is not available to me to talk, actually. Anyway.
If you talk to him and see if he's happy.
Yeah.
If he's happy, if he is forcing our hand to keep Gita Sharma and keep Gita Sharma and keep Mohini's daughter and son and daughter-in-law in the executive committee, then there is no reason why Dr. Nagendar cannot become a trustee when Shobha is in the executive committee.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Got my point?
Yeah.
Either if we have to relax because they want Gita Sharma to be in the committee, he wants this, then we can get Mr. Nagendar to be in the committee as a trustee.
But we are agreed that they should not be. Same family should not be in 2 places, isn't it?
Yeah, we agree to that, but he is trying to bend our hand and bend our rule as much as possible so that he can keep Gita Sharma in the executive committee, and he is trying to keep Natasha and her husband in the committee as well. And that is something we can only decide after we have formed the new board of trustees, and
Yeah. See, eligibility, application scrutiny, and police scrutiny, and getting the inquiries, getting getting the reply for all our inquiry takes time. So time is too short. Yeah.
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 It does.
Yeah.
But the police check, actually what happens is they are subjected to have the DBA. They are asked to have the DBA only after they have been approved by the trustee.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, like for example, now we have submitted the application. I have submitted the application on behalf of the temple for these two to become the trustee, and the application has already gone to the DBA service.
I see. Okay.
And that will be coming back in a few days.
Yeah. Okay.
Once it comes back, so we first go to the applicants, we decide what applicants we are going to take, and then we will take it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So she said that we can't have a meeting at the moment.
Okay.
Over the age of 70, it is not allowed at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think
we can't come to a temple. No.
No, we can't have any physical meeting on the temple.
Yeah.
So it is best that we have the meeting after.
They can submit their application, but we will look into that after the meeting. Anyway, that's right.
We'll look after the meeting here.
Yeah.
When time is available.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the master of all other living entities and of the material nature. His lotus feet are sought and worshipped by great saintly persons like Vyasa Maharshi. Nonetheless, there are fools who consider Lord Krishna as an ordinary human being. This is the misconception of a lot of people have that sort of misconception. Those people who doesn't accept Lord Krishna as the God is the mischief in the society. Ritualistic ceremonies, regulative principles, austerities, and the practice of yoga are all meant to control the senses and mind. But even after one is able to control this and mind, if he does not come to the point of meditation upon the Supreme Lord, all such activities are simply labor in frustration. As a professional activities or business profits cannot help one in spiritual advancement, but are a source of material entanglement. The Vedic ritualistic ceremonies cannot help anyone who is not a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a professional activity or a business profits cannot help one in a spiritual advancement, but are a source of material entanglement. The Vedic ritualistic ceremonies cannot help anyone who is not a devotee of the Supreme Personality of One who desires to conquer the mind must leave the company of his family and live in a solitary place. One who desires to conquer the mind must leave the company of his family and live in a solitary place, free from contaminated association. To maintain the body and soul together, he should beg as much as he needs for the bare necessities of life. It is vanaprastha or sannyasi life in the future life. My dear king, in a sacred and holy place of pilgrimage, one should select a place in which to perform yoga. My dear king, in a sacred and holy place of pilgrimage, one should select a place in which to perform yoga. The place will be level and not too high or not too low. There one should sit very comfortably, being steady and equipoised, keeping his body straight, and thus begin chanting the Vedic pranava. Pranava is Om. Generally, chanting of Om is recommended because in the beginning, one cannot understand the personality of Godhead as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Om is the pranava. While continuously starting at the tip of the nose, a learned yogi practices the breathing exercises through the technical means known as Puraka, Kumbhaka, and Rechaka. Controlling inhalation and exhalation, and then stopping them both. In this way, the yogic restricts his mind and material attachments and gives up all mental desires. As soon as the mind being defeated by lusty desires drift toward feelings of sense gratification, the yogi should immediately bring it back and arrest it within the core of his heart. The yogis has to do this sort of breathing control by 3 steps. That is Puraka, when you breathe in, Kumbhaka, when you hold it, and Rechaka, when you expel. So that's why Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka system controlling the inhalation and the exhalation is very useful and maintains the highest oxygen saturation in the lungs and in the blood of a yogi. When the yogi regularly practices in this way, in a short time, his heart becomes fixed and free from disturbance, like a fire without flames or smoke. Nirvana means the cessation of all material desires is called nirvana. Sometimes desireless is understood to imply an end to the workings of the mind, but this is not possible. The living entity has senses, and if the senses stopped working, the living entity would no longer be living entity. He would be exactly like stone or wood. This is not possible because he is living, he is nitya and chetana, eternally sentient. For those who are not very advanced, the practice of yoga is recommended in order to stop the mind from being agitated by material desires. But if one fixes his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, his mind naturally becomes peaceful very soon. This peace is described in Bhagavad Gita. If one can understand Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor of everything, and the supreme friend of everyone, one who is established in peace and is free from material agitation. However, for one who cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the practice of yoga is recommended. When one's consciousness is uncontaminated by material lusty desires, it becomes calm and peaceful. In all activities, for one is situated in eternal blissful life, one situated on that platform, one does not return to materialistic activities. One who accepts the sannyasa order gives up the 3 principles of materialistic activities, in which one indulges in the field of household life, namely religion, economic development, and sense gratification. One who first accepts sannyasa but then returns to such materialistic activities is to be called as vantasi, or one who eats his own vomit. He is indeed a shameless person, because once he committed to the sannyasa, he cannot come back to the materialistic life again. That is called an odd situation, and he is indeed a shameless person according to Bhagavata. Sannyasis who first consider that the body is subject to the death when it will be transferred into stool, worms, or ashes, but who again give importance to the body and glorify it as the self, are to be considered as the greatest rascals. Prabhupada Swami has written like that. It is abominable for a person living in the Gruhasthashrama to give up the regulative principle, for a brahmachari not to follow the brahmachari vows while living under the care of the guru, for a vanaprastha to live in the village and engage in so-called social activities, or for a sannyasi to be addicted to sense gratification. One who acts in this way is to be considered the lowest renegade. Such a pretender is bewildered by the external energy of the Supreme Person of Godhead, and one should either reject him from any position or, taking compassion upon him, teach him, if possible, to resume his original position. The human form of the body is meant for understanding the self and super self, supreme self, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, both of whom are transcendently situated. If both of them can be understood, when one is purified by advanced knowledge, for what reason and for whom does a foolish, greedy person maintain the body for sense gratification? Transcendentalists who are advanced in the knowledge compare the body, which is made up of order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, to a chariot. The senses are like the horses. The mind, the master of the senses, is like the reins. The subjects of senses are the destinations. Intelligence is the chariot driver, and consciousness, which spreads throughout the body, is the cause of bondage in the material world. Transcendentalists who are advanced in knowledge compare the body to, by the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, to a chariot. The 10 kinds of air acting within the body are compared to the spokes of the chariot's wheels, and the top and the bottom of the wheel itself are called religion and irreligion. The living entity in the body concept of life is the owner of the chariot. The Vedic mantra pranava is the bow. The pure living entity himself is arrow, and the target is the supreme being. So that's how it is described. In the conditioned stage, one's conceptions of life are sometimes polluted by passion and ignorance, which are exhibited by attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, false prestige, insults, fault finding, deception, envy, intolerance, passion, bewilderment, hunger, and sleep. All of these are enemies. Sometimes one's conceptions are also polluted by goodness. As long as one has to accept a material body with its different parts and paraphernalia which are not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely his spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge, and with the power of Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned above. In this way, the devotee should be able to merge into his own transcendental bliss, and then he may give up his body and resume his spiritual identity. Otherwise, if one does not take shelter of Achyuta and Baladeva, then the senses acting as the horses and intelligence acting as the driver, both being prone to material contamination, inattentively being the body, which acts as a chariot to the path of sense gratification, when one is thus attracted again by the rogues of the Vaishya, eating, sleeping, mating, the horses and chariot driver are thrown into the blinding dark well of material existence, and one is again put into dangerous and extremely fearful situation of repeated birth and death. According to the Vedas, there are two kinds of activities, pravritti and nivritti. According to the Vedic instructions, there are two kinds of activities, pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti activities involve rising oneself from a lower to a higher condition of materialistic life, whereas nivritti means the cessation of material desire. Through pravritti activities, one suffers from material entanglement, but by nivritti activities, one is purified and becomes fit to enjoy eternal blissful life. Nivritti leads to eternal blissful life. Pravritti is maintaining the same level. The ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices known as Agnihotra, Yajna, or Darsha Yajna, and Purnamasa Yajna, Chaturmasa Yajna, Pashu Yajna, and some Yajna are all symptomized by killing of animals and the burning of many valuables, especially food grains, all for the fulfillment of material desires and the creation of anxiety. Performing such sacrifices, worshipping Vaishwadeva, and performing the ceremony of Bali Harana, which all supposedly constitute the goal of life, as well as constructing temples and for the gods, building resting houses and gardens, digging wells for the distribution of water, establishing booths for the distribution of food, and performing activities for public welfare. These are all symptomized by attachment to material desires. My dear King Yudhishthira, when oblations of ghee and food grains like barley and sesame are offered in sacrifice, they turn into celestial smoke, which carries one to successively higher planetary systems like the kingdoms of Dhuma, Ratri, Krishnapaksha, Dakshinamma, and ultimately the moon. Then, however, the performance of sacrifice descend again to earth to become herbs, creepers, vegetables, and food grains. These are eaten by different living entities and turned to semen, which is injected into the female bodies. Thus, one takes birth again and again. A twice-born Brahmana, Dvija, gains his life by the grace of his parents through the process of purification known as Garbhodha, Garbhadhana. There are also other processes of purification until the end of life when the funeral ceremony, Antyeshti Kriya, is performed. Thus, in due course of qualified Brahmana becomes uninterested in materialistic activities and sacrifices, but he offers the sensual sacrifices in full knowledge into the working senses, which are illuminated by the fire of knowledge. A twice-born Brahmana gains his life by grace of his parents through the process of purification known as Garbhadhana. There are also other processes of purification until the end of the life when the funeral ceremony, Antyeshti Kriya, is performed. Thus, in due course, a qualified Brahmana becomes uninterested in materialistic activities and sacrifices, but he offers the sensual sacrifices in full knowledge into the working senses, which are illuminated by the fire of knowledge. The mind is always agitated by waves of acceptance and rejection. Therefore, all the activities of the senses should be offered into the mind, which should be offered into the one's words. Then one's words should be offered into the aggregate of all alphabets, which should be offered into the concise form of Omkara. Omkara should be offered into the point Bindu, Bindu into the vibration of sound, and that vibration into the life air. Then the living entity, who is all that remains, should be placed in Brahman, the Supreme. This is the process of sacrifice. On his path of ascent, the progressive living entity enters the different worlds of fire, the sun, the day, the end of the day, the bright fortnight, the full moon, and passing of the sun in the north, along with their presiding gods. When he enters the Brahmaloka, he enjoys life for many millions of years, and finally his material designation comes to an end. He then comes to a subtle designation, from which he attains the casual designation, witnessing all previous states. Upon the annihilation of this casual state, he attains his pure state, in which he identifies with the supersoul. In this way, the living entity becomes transcendental. The gradual process of elevation for self-realization is meant for those who are truly aware of the absolute truth. After repeated birth on this path, which is known as Deva Yana, one attains these consecutive stages. One who is completely free from all material desires, being situated in the self, need not traverse the path of repeated birth and death. Even though situated in a material body, one who is fully aware of paths known as Pitrayana, Devayana, and who thus opens his eyes in terms of Vedic knowledge, is never bewildered in this material world. He who exists internally and externally at the beginning and end of everything and of all living beings as that which is enjoyable and as the enjoyer of everything, superior and inferior, is the supreme truth. He always exists as a knowledge and the object of knowledge, as expression and the object of understanding as darkness and as light. Thus, he, the Supreme Lord, is everything. we like to end this chapter. Only last few shlokas we will learn tomorrow. Om Keshwaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Vishnuvaya Namaha, Matsudaya Namaha, Trivikramaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha, Sridharaya Namaha, Hrishikeshaya Namaha, Padmanabhaya Namaha, Damodaraya Namaha, Sankarshnaya Namaha, Vasudevaya Namaha, Pradyumnaya Namaha, Pradyumnaya Anuruddhaya Namaha, Purushottamaya Dokshaya Namaha, Narasimhaya Namaha, Chitaya Namaha, Janataraya Namaha, Upendraya Namaha, Hare Namaha, Sri Krishnaya Namaha. नमोस्तनंताय सहस्रमूर्तये सहस्रपादाक्षरभो सहस्रनाम्ने पुरुषार्थये सहस्रकोटियुगधारणे नमः सहस्रकोटि आकाशात् परितं मेधाविसागरं सर्वदे नमस्कारः श्रीकेशवं परिगत्यो नमः सर्ववेदेशत्पुण्यं सर्वतीर्थेषु यत्फलं तत्फलं पुण्यवाप्यवासनाद् वासुदेवस्य वासन्ते जगत्रयं सर्वभूतनि वासुदेवमूर्ते कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्धात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायति समर्पयामि. ओम केशवाय नमः. हरि ओम तत्सत्. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्धात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणाय समर्पयामि.